"You've ruined our lives," my sister yelled. Mom added, "We'd be happier without you." I stayed silent and left. This morning, I woke up to 14 missed calls. I was never the favorite. That was my sister, the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. No matter how cruel she was, no matter how much she got away with. My mom adored her. And me? I was just there, an afterthought. A shadow in my own home. It had always been this way. Growing up, I learned quickly that my opinions didn't matter. My dreams weren't important, and my feelings were either ignored or ridiculed. When my sister failed a test, it was my fault for distracting her. When she lost a friend, I was probably the reason. When she broke something, I must have pushed her into it. And my mom, she believed her every single time. I tried to be the perfect daughter. I worked hard, got good grades, and kept quiet when they insulted me. I never lashed out, never fought back. I thought maybe, just maybe, if I proved my worth, they'd finally love me like they loved her. But nothing changed. It all came crashing down the night they told me I had ruined their lives. It started with an argument. Well, they were arguing and I was just standing there, letting them yell. My sister had flunked a class, and instead of taking responsibility, she blamed me again. I don't even know how. Maybe I stressed her out just by existing. "You've ruined our lives!" she screamed. I barely had time to react before my mom echoed, "We'd be happier without you." That was it. The moment that broke me. I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I didn't beg for them to take it back. I just nodded. Then I turned around, walked to my room, grabbed a backpack, and packed whatever I could fit. They didn't stop me. They didn't even watch me leave. And just like that, I was gone. I stepped out into the night, the weight of my backpack pressing against my shoulders, but nothing compared to the heaviness in my chest. I walked without a destination, just putting distance between me and the house I had never truly called home. It was cold. I remember that vividly. The air bit at my skin, but I didn't shiver. I was numb. I had always thought that leaving would feel dramatic, like in the movies. Maybe with tears streaming down my face or a last lingering look at the home I was abandoning. But there was none of that. No one ran after me. No one called my name. No one cared that I didn't know where to go. I had no plan, no safety net. My savings were laughable. Just a couple $100s I had secretly stashed away from small tutoring gigs. But I knew one thing for sure. I would never go back. I found a cheap motel for the night, paying for a single room with shaky hands. I stared at the bed but couldn't bring myself to lie down. Instead, I sat at the small desk, the dim yellow light flickering above me, and tried to figure out what to do next. I didn't have a degree. I didn't have connections. I barely had money, but I had one advantage. I had spent my entire life being ignored, underestimated. No one had ever handed me anything. If I was going to make it, I'd have to build something from nothing. I started with what I knew, studying. It sounded ridiculous at the time, but I was good at it. I had spent years excelling in school, tutoring other kids, helping people understand complex subjects. Maybe, just maybe, I could turn that into something. The next day, I walked into a small cafe, ordered the cheapest coffee on the menu, and used their free Wi-Fi to apply for every online tutoring gig I could find. I set my rates low, just enough to get people to notice me. At first, it was barely enough to survive. I lived off instant noodles and dollar store groceries. I rented a room in a shared apartment with 3 strangers who barely acknowledged my existence. But it was still better than where I had come from, because every day, I woke up knowing that no one would scream at me, no one would blame me for their failures, and no one would tell me I was ruining their lives. And that was enough. The months passed. My tutoring gigs grew. 1 client turned into 3. 3 turned into 10. Soon I was making enough to move into a tiny studio apartment. Barely more than a box, but it was mine. And yet, through all of it, my family never called. Not once. Not on my birthday, not on holidays, not even to check. If I was alive, it hurt in the way old wounds do, deep, silent, lingering. But I told myself it was fine. If they didn't care, then neither did I. A year into my new life, I built a name as a top SAT tutor. But trading time for money wasn't enough, so I created an online course. It was a risk. I invested everything. At first, sales trickled in, but then word spread, and it exploded. Within months, I was making more than I ever imagined. I moved into my dream apartment, traveled, and built real friendships. My family, nowhere to be found. Until this morning. Mom, 6 missed calls. Sister, 8 missed calls. Curious, I finally picked up. Mom's voice trembled. "Sweetie, we need help. Your sister's struggling and we can't afford tuition or bills." I let out a bitter laugh. "You're serious? After everything, you really think I'll help?" Mom's voice grew desperate. "We know we messed up, but we're your family. You can't just leave us like this." "You never cared when I needed you," I shot back. "You let me disappear, told me you'd be better off without me." A silence. Then my sister's frantic voice. "I know I was horrible, but I need your help. I messed up." I almost laughed. "Fix things? How do you fix years of pain?" Her voice wavered. "Please just..." "No," I cut her off. "You should have thought about this before you kicked me out." I hung up. My heart raced. Not just from anger, but from satisfaction. After years of silence, of pretending I didn't exist, they needed me. I paced the room, letting the reality sink in. They didn't miss me or regret the past. They just needed me to fix their mess. And now that they were struggling, they realized what they had thrown away. But it didn't matter. I was done. Still, a part of me wanted to make them beg a little longer. My phone buzzed again. Mom's pleading message. "Please, we need you." I smirked. They had no idea who they were dealing with. Another message. "I'm begging you." We have nowhere else to turn. My finger hovered over the screen, a flicker of hesitation, but I shook it off. I had built my success, my empire. I had the power to decide who deserved a place in my life, and they didn't. I set the phone down and looked out at the city. My past felt like it belonged to someone else. The messages kept coming, but I wasn't going to let guilt sway me. The next morning, my phone vibrated again, this time from my sister. "I know I can't change the past, but I've been trying to get into college. They rejected me. And Mom says if we don't get the money, I'll never make it. Please, I'm so sorry." Something in me paused. Was this real? Or just another act? My hands trembled as I typed, "You never cared when I needed you. Why should I care now?" I hit send, feeling a heavy weight settle in my chest. Throughout the day, the messages and calls piled up. Their desperation seeped through every word. But they had made their choices. Now they had to face the consequences. Then, at 7 p.m., a message from Mom made my heart skip a beat. "This isn't just about money. I know we messed up, but I'm asking you as a mother, please come home. We need you." I stared at the screen, my thumb hovering over the keyboard, unsure of what to do next. I considered calling her back, maybe hearing her out, but then I remembered everything they had put me through. I wasn't their savior. With a deep exhale, I typed, "You had your chance. I'm done." I hit send, knowing it was the right choice, yet a lingering ache remained. The next evening, a knock at the door startled me. Peering through the peephole, my stomach dropped. Mom, Dad, and my sister stood there, exhausted and desperate. My pulse quickened. They had shown up uninvited. I opened the door just enough to see them fully. "What are you doing here?" I asked, voice shaking with anger. Mom stepped forward. "Please just hear us out," she pleaded. eyes filled with desperation. I stared at her, the same woman who had cast me aside. You think showing up here erases everything? My voice rose. You had years to make this right, and now you want my help. Silence. Then Mom whispered, We don't have rent money. Your sister's future is slipping away. We don't know what else to do. Don't tell me you don't know what else to do, I snapped. You made your choices. I wasn't part of them. Now that everything's falling apart, suddenly I matter? Mom reached out, but I slammed the door in her face. Through me. I was in control now. But as I stood there, hand on the door, something gnawed at me. Not guilt. Something worse. They didn't come because they wanted to fix things. They came because they had no one else. And I hated it. A part of me wanted them to feel the weight of their actions, to understand how badly they had messed up. Their sudden desperation only fueled my anger. I walked away, but they didn't leave. I could hear Mom pleading, my sister crying, and Dad trying to comfort them. I couldn't take it anymore. I opened the door again. They stood there, broken, waiting. But I owed them nothing. Number, you don't get to show up now and expect forgiveness. My voice was cold, firm. You had years to fix this and you didn't care. I built my life without you and I won't let you ruin it now. Fix your own mess. I'm done. I shut the door for the last time. Weeks passed. My business thrived, my life flourished, and I never heard from them again, and that was fine. I finally found peace, realizing one simple truth. You can't keep giving to people who never gave you anything back.